see if we are live. Maybe we are, don't know. It says I'm live. Okay, apparently we are. So there we are.
白岩学園3年 B 組の皆さん、こんにちは。
Good afternoon, everybody. How is it going? We are now just a hair past the halfway mark for November. Pretty excited about that. We are moving ever closer to December, and as we inch closer to December, we inch closer to 2020. Oh my gosh. I'm a little bit excited about that because 2020 is going to be a spectacular year. I've been talking about it for a couple of months now, I guess. Well, everyone has. Really. And I'm going to come back to... Excuse me, I wish I didn't do that all the time on my streams, but I can't help it. It's late here. Anyhow, I'm going to come back to something that I was making mention of yesterday, which is, and I think I mentioned this on Dennis's stream. I don't think I talked about this specific point on my stream. Maybe I did, I'm not sure. Anyhow, everyone should check out Dennis Dale, by the way. He's a good bean. He's sadly not a Christian, but I'm willing to forgive him that because he's a good bean. So, anyway. Yeah, I was speaking with Dennis, and he was saying, no, what were we talking about? I don't remember what it was, but I think somebody had talked. Yeah, one of the guys in the chat box, who goes by Donald Robertson, was talking about how he thought that the 2020 campaign talking points should center on immigration. I concur. I totally agree. Sorry, I'm doing that yawning thing again. When people are having these kinds of discussions in general, I think it's a really good idea to try to find ways to inject immigration in. And the reasoning for that is because, as we all know, 2020 is going to be a Trump slide, and in 2024, Texas goes blue. Once Texas goes blue, there's going to be fireworks, tremendous fireworks. So when I say that I'm excited about 2020, what I really mean is I think that there is an opportunity for us to start planning for the future. There is a nice little moment where there are going to be lots of speeches, there are going to be rallies, there are going to be conferences and organizations and whatever that are going to be talking about this, that, and the other thing. Imagine for a moment that there was a grouping of people that would go to these things and bring up immigration. Again, I say this is with an eye to 2024. Once we get to 2024, the game changes because of Texas. So, yeah, I mean, and here I am, like, I'm kind of half advocating that, we ought to dox ourselves. That's not really what I'm advocating. It's really not. Gosh, I don't want to dox myself, but I understand that may become a combination of inevitable and necessary. Actually, it is inevitable. At some point, someone is going to recognize me, and they're going to say, "Oh my gosh, look at that guy! That's Eke over there." And I don't want to deal with that, but that's probably going to happen. I mean, not that I'm going to be big. That's not the case. I'm not looking to be big. I'm happy to be small. We're looking at like a little over a dozen people and a couple of feds. Say something nice about your fed. I'm happy with it being small. What I'm saying is, if one is streaming and talking and doing things for long enough, it becomes close to inevitable that you will be recognized by someone at some point. I will be very honest, I am actually really shocked that the creators of Murdoch haven't been doxxed yet. That's shocking to me. Conversely, I can think of one person that I know, not personally, but, across the interwebs. I do know a person that is only a little bit bigger than I am in terms of footprint. Well, not a little bit. He is bigger than me, but it doesn't matter. The point is, he's not like, JF big, if that makes any sense. He's not one of these guys that gets like hundreds of viewers. He gets dozens, in some cases scores, and in a couple cases, if I recall correctly, he has gotten a couple hundred, if I recall correctly. But the point is simply that in terms of taking a step measurement, he's only like a single step or two steps above me. And he got doxxed, and it really fucked his life. And this is the kind of thing that I think we should all expect if the trajectory remains as it is. Interestingly, let's see here. Further up, I just came from Fuentes, cough, dash, says this. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Yeah, the Fuentes types, the Groypers, I think, I could be wrong, I think that these guys doing their Groyper Rush is exactly the kind of... Now, there was somebody that was saying, I can't remember who it was, they were kind of poo-pooing it a little bit, that going on to these college campuses doing these things is kind of fruitless in a way. And to a certain extent, I concur. To a certain extent. The only thing is that they are having an influence on the overall culture and mannerisms, the behavior patterns within society. As it becomes more obvious that there's going to be pushback against Conservatism Inc. and against the so-called progressives, as people get fed up with our bullshit, and as people speak openly about how they're fed up with their bullshit, that's going to indicate to other people that it's okay to be fed up with their bullshit. It's not that big of a deal. You are not alone. There are others that are on your side. And I think that it is worth it. So, I mean, again, let me just stress here. I'm going to get doxxed, and I keep pushing, I'm kicking that can down the road for as long as possible, just because I don't want to deal with it. And the hope is that if I can kick that can down the road long enough, it probably won't matter, because I am aware that there is, because the media, academia, and increasingly elements within government are openly, and I don't mean just in terms of their policies, I mean in terms of their rhetoric, they're openly anti-white. As they continue this, there are going to be more and more white Americans, middle of the road, just regular Democrats and Republicans, nothing particularly interesting or impressive, just a regular dude or chick that works at, I don't know what kinds of jobs people have these days outside of service jobs, but we'll pick one, working at the tire shop or the coffee shop or the nail salon. Who knows? Who cares? But it's those people, they're going to get sick of it. And I really think that that's going to reach a real head sometime after 2024. Anyway, the thing is, if we load the deck, or if we prime the pump, or whatever phrasing you want to use now, then that means that we can point to 4 years worth of discussion. And if we do it within the context of some of these little Groyper rushes, dude, I think that we may be able to steer conversation. I really do. Now, these Groypers, I actually kind of think that they should organize a little bit. I think that going after the USS Liberty isn't terribly impactful. Average person isn't going to get it. That might work on some of the military, maybe. I don't know. I think that, I know that this might come off as controversial, but it's not my intent. It's just that in terms of the general, then again, I guess it is pretty important. Because you gotta hit different people. You gotta meet people where they are. Different people are going to respond to different things. And because I'm not a parent, I'd like to be a parent. I want kids. I would love that. That'd be great. And I try to think in that context as much as I can, just to have some semblance of sympathy. But sometimes it's a little hard because I'm just not there. Anyway, if I was a parent, now that I think about it, I probably would be pissed off about the pushing of gay culture on kids, because I wouldn't want my kids to get confused over some silly bullcrap that, by statistics, only affects like 2% of the population or something. It's like, well, why are you gonna try to sexualize my kids? Like, that's fucking creepy and disgusting. That's not cool at all. So maybe I'll come back from that a little bit. Anyhow, the thing is that I think that in terms of like obvious, visible things that will happen across the entire population, regardless of most considerations, immigration is just going to be gargantuan. It's going to have a huge impact on everything, including kids. Now, because they're going to grow up and all this good jazz, so there'll be adults entering workforces and colleges where they're going to be told whites need not apply and other some bull crap. We all know it's going to happen. Anyway, the thing is that I think that we should be thinking about possibly organizing with some other people that are doing things like this. Just imagine for a moment that the same kind of question was asked multiple times in a row. And imagine, on the other hand, that there were counterpoint questions. Imagine that one person asked one question and there was, because we always want a follow-up question, imagine that there were people organizing for follow-up questions. How freaking cool would that be? And I think that it would be important to phrase and frame all of these questions so that it's not a matter of trying to get a gotcha out of the speaker or the event coordinator or whoever it is that you're speaking to. Instead, I think that organizing these questions to get to the audience, that is to say, ask the question, record video, and then upload it onto YouTube. The questions should be designed very specifically to activate almonds, basically. Anyhow, I think it's a good idea to start thinking a lot about what to do in 2024. It's my honest opinion. Quachalongo says immigration, free speech, free speech and immigration. Yeah, I kind of like that. I would say that I'm, for personal reasons, I'm also very into firearms ownership. So anything referring to the Second Amendment, and that's how I would frame things to get to boomers and Gen Xers. A lot of Gen Xers don't, they're more receptive to this stuff, more so than boomers, but there seems to be kind of a gap in a way where the boomers, they take for granted free speech, they take for granted firearms ownership. Gen X is they kind of understand that it is in question. And, I'm Gen X. Gen X is basically from 40 years old to 60 plus minus, somewhere in that area. And then millennials, which would be basically 20 to 40 now. Most millennials, they're kind of getting it that the firearms question, that's a real thing. They might not have it. If I was going to design a question to get to the boomers, I would focus on immigration, and I would say, because of mass immigration, Mexicans vote between 70 and 80%. 80% for first gen, they go down to 70% for second and on, but they still vote overwhelmingly Democrat. Democrats are now openly anti-free speech. They are openly anti-Second Amendment. So immigration is tied to the government's recognition of your God-given right to keep and bear arms. So as we, and I get it, America is dead, and we are now watching the corpse as it moves into rigor mortis and finally into decay, so that we can get to the next whatever the hell it is we're getting into. But the point still stands that the zombie corpse that is America that continues to function simply because no one knows what else to do. The zombie corpse still functions as though things like democratic elections are real and important, and your vote counts exactly as much as a person who doesn't believe in your God-given right to keep and bear arms. Which means that the more of the non-whites that we import, necessarily, the more votes we're going to see that go against free speech and against firearms ownership. So that's how I'd phrase it to a boomer, to kind of get it to meet their map of the world. I'm gonna check the comments for a little while, or the chat rather, because gosh, I don't check the chat enough. I really don't. It's not good. I have to cut that out. Cringe nationalism. I can't like or dislike live streams. It registers 2 votes every time, and then I get banned for bot-like behavior. For Kex alone, I reflexively want to time out cringe nationalism, but obviously I won't. It's okay. I will accept your lack of liking. It's completely fine, and I absolutely believe that you're not a bot. Let's see here. Nick revealing Conservatism Inc. Yeah, it's... Some people give Nick Fuentes shit for being kind of a zoomer, which he is. He's kind of silly, he hung out with Milo Yiannopoulos. I get it. I completely understand. I totally understand the criticisms. I really do. But I still view Nick Fuentes a little bit like how I view Alex Jones. There's a net positive. There are obvious negative points. At the same time, there are a lot of benefits, and I like to imagine that these guys are more than anything a sign of the times. They are not the be-all, end-all. They are not where we are going to stay or remain. These guys are, they're like, they're signposts or something. They are the, some people use the phrase gatekeeper in the negative, and I'm starting to not see it that way. I'm starting to see the concept of a gatekeeper as being something that is actually not all that bad at all, because I used to listen to Carl of Akkad, and I mean, whoa, I sure came a long way from that, I went to a Milo Yiannopoulos event way back in 2017? 2016? Shit. I think it was 2016. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, I went to one of those things, and here I am, like a couple years later, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm no longer a Milo fan. It's funny. It's funny how that works. So I kind of think that with these guys, they're not that bad. Anyway, coming all the way back. Nick Fuentes, yeah, I like him. I like him overall. If he could find a way to sort of calm down a little bit, if he was he's like 20 or whatever, like he's a kid, so he's got a certain irreverence about him that, in all honesty, I kind of wish that I had. I am long in tooth. I've got more than one gray hair. I think I've got 3 or 4 gray hairs by now. Oh god, I'm gonna have to pick a couple out so I can get back down to 4 or 5. Anyway, the thing is, we need that energy. We actually do need these young pups who are willing to get out and mix it up. So actually, overall, I like the guy. Anyway, cringe. YouTube is absolutely crazy. Been noticing it do all kinds of erratic behavior for about... Yeah, it has. Notifications never come on. I've had the chat just stop on occasion. There have been multiple times where my stream will just stop for no reason and it'll start again. These things happen. I keep thinking that what they're doing is they're testing out algorithmic inputs, and then they're just waiting to see what happens. And then, here during the middle of a stream, we watch the whole thing go down, or we watch the chat box get taken for some fucking reason that doesn't make any sense.
and it's all because they're tweaking the various algorithms and programs and we just happen to see it. And yeah, I actually do think that we're going to see. I could be wrong, but I think that December 10th could end up. God, I gotta get, was it DLive or some bullcrap? I gotta get a DLive account just in case, because I think it's gonna happen. It started happening to me after I started hanging out in Fash circles on YouTube early this year. 7 or 8 accounts later, yeah. I get it. It's what happens. Everyone gets banned for everything these days. It sucks. Okay, continuing down. Gay frogs, great big fan. I don't mean to be bothersome, but I really don't know what the benefits of moving to Greenland would be, but I'm curious. Greenland is boring because there's nothing there. Nick disavowed all the disavowals today. That's funny. Okay. We always end up disavowing everyone, though, sooner or later. And I do that on purpose, by the way. Incidentally, side note, I disavow everyone in chat. I disavow everyone that I'm subscribed to, and I disavow everyone that I've ever met in my life, with a couple of exceptions. Notably, I like my kitty. She's nice. She's about the only one I'm not going to disavow, but she's a terrible cat, so whatever. Yeah, speaking to the normies is a really, I suck at that, I've found. Because, the overlap doesn't really exist for me anymore. I can speak blue pill talk because, I've spent my whole life speaking blue pill talk. But when it comes to, it's freaking hard to talk about this stuff. Because, just think for a moment about how I'm sure that, at least 1 or 2 of you are aware of the Blue Man meme that's making the waves in Twitter. Imagine for a moment you had to explain the Blue Man meme to a normie. Imagine how fucking weird that would be. Like a person that's totally not initiated, that has no idea what's going on. It would be impossible. Imagine going to let's see, what is the nearest business? Okay, there's a dry cleaners next, a couple blocks away. Okay, so imagine going to your local dry cleaner, and you're given your coat or some bull crap, and you're like, yeah, I need this pressed, and I've got a little stain because I dripped some coffee on it, because I don't know how to control my freaking hands when I'm drinking coffee or whatever. And then for some reason you start chit-chatting, and the dry cleaner says, hey, I saw the weirdest thing on freaking Twitter. I don't know what the hell it was, but I saw Ben Bernanke, but he was colored blue, and people kept typing kek and lol after. What the hell does that even mean? Do you have any idea what that means? And they also had some other blue images with Dianne Feinstein or something. What? And Jared Kushner. What the hell? What does that? Imagine trying to explain that. That'd be really, really difficult. I honestly do not know how I would do such a thing. Because I would laugh, and I would think it's hilarious, but I don't know how one would communicate these kinds of things. I honestly really don't. Somehow, because if you think about it, you've got buffers and barriers and layers. You've got basically Normieville, which is just regular America, which is only just starting to understand what's going on right now. They're only starting to understand the nature of the attacks being leveled against them. And you've got the media machine that is telling them what to think about this, that, and the other thing. We on Twitter are interacting with the media machine. We interact with academia. We interact with the institutions that loathe and despise us. But we are not interacting with normie America. And these machines, these mechanisms, these groups, they are framing their interactions with us in the negative and then reporting on those negative interactions with normie America, which means that we are only fighting in one front. The one front that we are fighting is against academia, but only directly, and no one sees what we are doing. No one has any clue that we are engaged in fourth generation warfare. No one has any. I didn't know. I didn't know for a long time. It took me. How long did it take me? Let's see here. I first, quote, got online, I suppose, like formally, like actually got online, like got woke, sometime in like 2017 or so. And I didn't learn about fourth gen warfare until like mid 2018 roundabouts. And I thought that I thought that fourth generation warfare was going to be the future. I thought that we were not in a civil war. I am now absolutely of the mindset that we have been in the middle of a fourth generation war for decades. We just didn't know it. And thankfully it's not kinetic. I hope it never goes kinetic. Say something nice about your Fed. This is a stream of peace. We here at EKLX live streams do not endorse, exhort, or condone any kind of activity other than staying in your basement, playing Minecraft, and subscribing to PewDiePie. Do not, under any circumstances, go outside. Always order takeout. Diversity macht frei, and Israel is our greatest strength. Okay, moving on. The thing is that the media machine, they are conveying all of their ire to the general populace, and the media machine, they lie about us. They lie about their interactions with us. So the war actually is being fought largely with only them as being the only side that's really throwing punches, or or shooting guns. But in this case, we're talking about media stories. I don't know what the analogy is I'm looking for. It's late and I'm a little bit tired. Anyway, the thing is that I think this is one of the reasons, by the way, why the It's Okay to Be White campaign is so great. Because when you're in the middle of that campaign, when you're actually doing it, you are bypassing the entire media machine, all of it. And not only are you bypassing it, you are counter-signaling it. Your signal is running completely diametrically opposed to their signal. Their signal is that white's bad. The It's Okay to Be White meme is quite literally the opposite of that. And instead of a regular person seeing that sentiment through the lens that they graft onto everything, where they automatically assume that all white males are bad actors and blah 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 blah, instead it's simply a direct message, and they have no control. They have zero control over that. That's why they have to suppress these things. And I think that's why they stopped reporting on it. So, that's good and bad at the same time. Would I like to press? Yeah, I'd like to press. Not on me, because I know that in the next couple of years it's going to be jail time for even saying it's okay to be white, but whatever. Anyway, coming all the way back. Yeah, we need to be able to talk to the normies, and finding a person that can do that is rough at the moment. Really fucking rough. We don't have that person at the moment. I hope such a person manifests soon, because gosh, I'm tired of this. I just don't. I hate having to deal with it. All's up in jazz hands. Want to tax you as recent arrival. That's not a bad concept. I'm actually okay with that. Let's see here. Somebody made. Oh, what's that creepy noise? I think Rooster is asking about this noise. That's my Rubik's Cube. I fidget with it way too much. It's not good. It's actually, it's not great. Kindred Creators, last message to the West. Yeah. That's a Tom Kaczynski word that he uses a lot. He uses the word kindred rather a lot. Anyone that is unaware should go and check out Tom Kaczynski. God, how do you spell that again? I think it's Tom C-Z-N-P. People should check out Tom Kaczynski. He's got some really good ideas. And one of the things that he was going on about was his concept for Operation Brushfire, and it had to do with Albion, New Albion. And in his conception, Tom Kaczynski, New Albion is sort of a companion in a way, a cousin spiritually to Cascadia. And one of the things that Tom Kaczynski was talking about was that he thought that simply rallying around the word white is simply not enough. And I'm inclined to agree. I mean, absolutely nothing at all against my German bros and my Nord cousins and blah, blah, blah. I love those guys. They're great. Any Italians out there, hey, guys, how's it going? But I'm always going to end up identifying as a Scot, like Southern Scot, Northern British. That's basically where the majority of my genes come from. That's just how I identify. And yeah, those are the kinds of people that I'm going to want to be around. I've thought about this long and hard. If I was pressed, and if I had to make a decision between staying here in Los Angeles, an arbitrary decision, but if I had to make a decision between staying here in Los Angeles and moving to a predominantly German area, I would move to the German area. That said, I would prefer to move to an area that is predominantly Scot and Brit. I would even take the mix. Not the Welsh, they're not human, but I would definitely take the mix. Anyhow, the thing is, that is a much stronger connection for me in terms of general, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain. But there's this guy that I know that is here in Los Angeles. He's a Brit through and through. Weirdest fucking thing. I get the guy. I can actually, he's a Zoomer too. Like, you wouldn't think that I'd be able to communicate with a Zoomer, but this Zoomer I can communicate with. Why? Because he's a Brit. Weirdest goddamn thing. I get his humor, I get his jokes. It's peculiar. Goddamn peculiar. I think there is something to the concept of biospirit. I honestly do believe that. Anyhow, the thing with the kindred, the reason that Tom Kaczynski focuses on that is because, just as I had mentioned for the past 3 minutes, my personal experience is that, yeah, like I don't know why. It's really hard to explain. I've met a lot of Germans that are great, and I love them, and they're jolly, and they're fun to be around in general, but I don't get their humor as much. They don't get my humor as much, and we still have a good time. It's just that it's not a real link. It's so hard to explain. And I think that it's not enough to simply say that we are white. I think that Tom Kaczynski is completely correct. I think he's right. I think that there is something to the idea of this biospirit thing. Anyway, the concept for New Albion is to identify your general group or clique, whichever one is, in terms of your general makeup, psychology, or whatever. whatever you're most akin to, and then basically throw your lot in with those guys. And Tom Kaczynski was saying something about how he regarded it as being not unlike how in Harry Potter people would align relative to their interests. And I think that, yeah, the movie Divergent, awful movie, terrible movie. I don't recommend it in the least, but whatever. Anyway, in Divergent, something very similar. People would align relative to their psychological makeup. And I think there's something to that. I really do. And I think that Eric is here. Hey, buddy, how's it going? I think there's something to that. And I would say it's worth consideration. Is that going to be the big future? Is that going to be the big thing? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think that it's not unreasonable. In all honesty, I think it's not unreasonable. Okay, I'm going to continue down. Bloom and Groypers. Okay, that's weird. Oh my god, that's right. That whole thing with, I just realized, Kua Chalongo says $113 ticket, and it occurs to me that Luke Ford would be half of the UCLA colors. That is funny. It occurs to me that if one were to go to one of these events, you would have to pay money to get into the event, and then you might not even get the question. But then if you did get the question, got doxxed, you'd be like paying to have your life ruined. That's funny. It's jacked up. I hope it doesn't come to anything like that. Okay, traffic, my fan, what's that creepy noise? Okay, alright, fair enough. Alright, maybe wom wom wom. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, buddy. Okay, continuing down. No one sees we are fighting 4th gen warfare. Yeah, that's a good thing. If everybody knew, our job would be even more impossible than it is. You might be right. You actually might be right. It's tough to say now that I think about it. But yeah, okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. Best Rubik's Cube solving algorithm, the original official printed instructions, or no? I don't actually know. I ended up, I went through like a bunch of YouTube channels of people that claimed to know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, and invariably I would get most of the algorithms, but not all of them. There would always be something that would be missing. And so I ended up looking up like multiple YouTube channels and writing down multiple algorithms so that I could figure out which ones would end up leading me to a solve. So yeah, basically I don't actually know, and to be honest, it took me a very long time to figure out just because of that. Alright, continuing down, found a new emoji. Okay, that's fine. Oh gosh, I think everyone can hear Los Angeles happening outside. The defamation is all based on inverted World War II history. Yeah, I agree. The Genesis myth is of World War II, and it's inverted. Whites are bad. It's a negative. It's a negative Genesis story, founding story. It's founded on warfare and death, and we are the ones who did bad. That's a terrible story to tell anyone, and I don't like it in the least. I'm of the opinion. I agree with Jonathan Pohl. Little plug for Jonathan Pohl. I think the concept of a redemption narrative is necessary. I think that's where we need to be psychologically. So, yeah, big fan of that. Let's see here. I appreciate Eke Lux's equanimity in assessing our situation. I think there's going to be a lot of time to get super duper pissed off later on. So I think that right now is a great time to be as calm and cool as we can possibly be, with the assumption that things are gonna get unpleasant, so we'll try to keep it on an even keel for now. Alright. No. That's Ted Kaczynski. Tom Kaczynski is a 39, 38, something like that. Between 35 and 40. I want to say 38, but I don't remember. Year-old man who lives in Maine, and he used to be like a city manager or something. And he said a couple of things that ended up leading people to understand that he was a nationalist once he was outed as a pro-white nationalist. Everyone got super upset. He was fired. Great big kerfluffle happened. And now he just like this. His job is basically to write things and stream all the time. I'm convinced that he leads a very modest life, but that is totally acceptable. Completely and totally acceptable. Alright, continuing down. Tom Kaczynski on Eke's stream, planting pine trees for the future. Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking with Tom again sometime, I think in like December or something. He's a generally cool guy. So I would say just go find him. Go find Tom. Look up what he has to say. Some good things. And I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to recant a little bit. No one knows or cares, so whatever. Oh, Reed Monroe's here. Hey, buddy, what's going down? No one knows or cares, so... Oh, Mr. Pickles is an Aussie. Nice. I used to be like a lot more critical of Pat Little, but I was just listening to, I think, some kind of interview or whatever from like maybe today or yesterday, like really, really, really recently, with I think Augustus Invictus or something. And Pat Little is actually he's calmed down exactly to the point that I think that is healthy, and he has self-reflected in such a way that I no longer view him as being a liability. So yeah, sure, people are gonna remember him for all of his antics and things that are, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna get a little shit for this, but whatever. I mean, relative to, Normieville, relative, again, coming back to the guy in the dry cleaner, okay, the dude in the dry cleaner, or, if you're looking at some person that works at McDonald's, they are not gonna get any of this. And Pat Little would never be able to communicate any of this to a person in a dry cleaner without him sounding absolutely off the chain. So he's gotten that, he understands, and I think that there is absolutely the possibility of Pat Little coming back into some capacity of agency, but like in a positive sense, in a truly constructive sense. So I would say, yeah. Anyway, both Tom Kaczynski and Pat Little were both interviewed by, I'm pretty sure it's Augustus Invictus. Pretty sure. And both of those are worth checking out. But yeah, centering again on Tom Kaczynski, yeah, he's great. All right, Bear Singetrix says, I love my cat. I taught my cat to jump up on anything I point to, and she gets a treat. That's freaking awesome. She was meowing, so I threw her a treat. She sniffed it and walked away. That's funny. I made my toast and she kept meowing. That's funny. I turned around. The treat was still there on the ground, so I tapped on the counter. She jumped up. I gave her the treat, and then I pointed to the table. She jumped up and ate the treat. Then I point. to the ground, she jumps down and ate the treat. Dude, that's freaking awesome. I am a little bit jealous, just a touch. I didn't train my cat. I kind of regret not training my cat, but yeah, I guess it's just the way that it is. I mean, whatever. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. But that's awesome. That's really awesome. Bear gets a great big thumbs up. I'm giving a thumbs up, even though it doesn't mean anything. And yeah, my understanding is that cats can only handle like a couple dozen words or something. Dogs can handle like a couple hundred or whatever. So you can really train a dog big time in ways that you can't train a cat. And my understanding is that cats take a lot more patience. So I don't know. I feel like I've got so many other things going on in my life. It would be like, oh man, training a cat. Geez, I don't know if I'm up for that. Then again, maybe, I mean, geez, you taught your cat to like jump around and do shit, so it's obviously not that hard. Maybe I'm just a slacker. All right, and Jonathan Pohl is here. Hey, buddy, what's going down? And yeah, they can learn at any point in time. You're right. It's easier to train a younger animal than an older animal, but it's still possible. I do agree with that. Privated November 17th, Invictus for President, premiering now. Okay. Yeah, is it really privated? I'm curious now. Let's see if it has been. Let's see here. No shit. Totally was. Well, that's too bad. I mean, it was great. It was a really good stream. Shit. All right, that sucks. That's too bad. Well, then again, like, what am I talking about? I shouldn't be bitching and moaning. Like, I've got, I think, a full week and a half or 2 weeks worth of streams on my channel that are still available, and I'm looking to private or unlist all of them within the next like day or two. So I guess I have no business saying anything about that. But there you go. All right, looks like we're at the top of the hour, so I think I'm going to get ready to call stream, go to bed, and do responsible things tomorrow morning. So I think that's the general pattern. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, cool. Hey guys, thanks for popping by. And also, Jonathan Pohl and Goose, since the both of you are here right now, I want to go ahead and plug the concept of a West Coast Wednesday. If for some reason Deathcog Unit happens to be around, he is also invited. But yeah, we're going to do a West Coast stream where we talk about the general things going on here on the West Coast. So there you go. And with that, I am going to... I don't know if I want to play... I might play a small album. I'll play a short album. Because I love playing albums, so I think I'm going to do that. I'll play one single album. I'm going to figure out what it's going to be, and then I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to go to bed, and it's going to be great. Alright, what are we looking at? I think I'm going to play something a little more calming. Yesterday I played Chill Out Crisis, which counter to what is indicated, there's chill in there, but it's not as chill as one would think given the title. I think I'm gonna go with the Mac Bandit Spirit Realm. I like referring to this album as the Snow Demon album. It's pretty good. There's actually some good stuff on it, so I like it. Anyhow, I'm totally gonna call stream now. Let's see here. Julius Ebola. It's funny. Says, I moved from LA to a town in West Virginia that's 100% wowzers. Let's see here. They're deathly afraid of the state as a whole. We're beneath them. So there's no threat of them moving here en masse. That's going to change, buddy. Julius Ebola. What they're going to do is there's going to be a federal program. They're going to inject refugees whether you like it or not. And then they're going to give those refugees voting status. I'm not joking, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just saying that these people are vicious and they will not relent. This is total war for these people, and they're absolutely committed to, I forget which mitzvah it is, but they have to destroy the seed of Amalek, and that's what they're going to go for. So I'm just going to go ahead and say they're difficult. They're really, really difficult. So be careful. Be careful. Be vigilant. Get into local politics, if at all possible. Get into like city councils. Get into school boards. Anything you can do. Flex power. The more our guys are out there doing things, the more we are flexing some power, the more we can shield each other when the time comes, when the gloves come off, keeping in mind Texas goes blue in 2024. When Texas goes blue in 2024, when we see a permanent Democrat victory for every presidency afterwards, they will move into revenge mode. And they're going to try to hurt us. Their goal is going to be to cause pain and suffering and anguish. So we're going to need stopgaps. We're going to need bulwarks. We're going to need people that are capable of creating a layer between us and these vengeful people. So anyway, all right. I'm not gonna yammer on about that too much. Bear says, when the military takes a town, they have to either hold the town and move on with the rest of the troops, or leave the town and move on with all the troops. Democrats are taking towns and leaving them to immigrant Democrats. Yeah, that's basically the case. That's actually completely the case. Here in Los Angeles, whites are 29% of the population, and Mexicans are, I think they are an absolute majority here now. I think they're over 50%. So we're moving into Juarez territory now, and it's gonna get ugly. But it's actually gonna get really, really freaking ugly. Anyway, there's going to be, I think, yeah, and I've seen this too, by the way. Bear says the progressives then flee and rinse repeat. I have actually watched this. I was talking with a progressive a little while ago who was saying something about how we need to build up, we shouldn't be building out, blah, 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 blah. This progressive, no joke. This is not a joke. This person actually said that they're going to move from Los Angeles because, and I quote, I didn't say that I like building up. So it always comes down to rank hypocrisy. Diversity for thee, but not for me. Blade Runner for thee, but not for me. These people must be held to account, and I am very much of the opinion that, and I'm for every finger pointed out, I got 3 more pointed right back at me. So I get it. I think that Californians you should be giving them shit. When they move to your town, you need to fucking be aware of these people. And absolutely, you should shake them down and question them and say, are you here to burn my fucking civilization? Because if you are not welcome here. They need to be told that. They need to be said, or these things need to be said. Because this cannot continue to happen. Because, everything is on the plate. Everything, or rather on the chopping block. So it's gotta be, like, we have got to be very, very vigilant about this. Kualongo says we should end on a white pill. I concur. In all honesty, I do. There is one thing that has been very wonderful for me to notice, which is that I frequent a lot of boomer gun channels. It's a little bit embarrassing, but whatever. I'm a Gen Xer. It's just the way that it goes. There's a lot of really woke people out there. A lot of them. Amazingly. And I would say, if you want a white pill, go to some of these boomer gun channels and take a look at the comments section. Some of them are hyperbolic, and I disavow the hyperbole. I have no choice but to do that. I must. Not only legally, but just generally. Like, I want a stable and safe society. I do not want fucking Mad Max anyway. There are a lot of woke people out there, and some of them are really, really pissed off, and that's good news, because that means that they are aware of the score. They know what's going on. We are not alone. Indeed, the reason that I keep doing these streams is just to keep the lights on, even though I know that I'm only streaming with like a little over a dozen people and a couple of feds or something, like, whatever. This is not a big stream, and I know it, and I'm happy to keep it this way. That's why I don't... Whatever, anyway. This is just so that for the few people that do wander in here, like, there's a chat. People can talk with each other. We can chit-chat about whatever. It's just so that we all understand that we are not alone. That's actually that's the big thing. And amazingly, that is a really, really important thing. Psychologically, it's important that we not feel isolated. If you listen to the corporate media outlets, they want us to feel alone. They want us to feel black-pilled. They want us to feel overwhelmed, outmatched, and outnumbered. They want us to feel outflanked. But what they don't know is that, actually, Patriot Nurse does kind of glow in the dark. As does her husband. I would take them with a really big fucking grain of salt, to be honest. 'Cause, whatever. Anyway, anyone that checks out their channels will understand what I'm talking about. And I am... Well, I don't want to talk about that right now. Okay, because that's its own ball of wax. I'm only talking about the people that are in the comment section. That's all I'm talking about. Just go to the channels and look at the comment section, and you'll notice a lot of woke people. And within them there are some glow-in-the-darks. That is actually true. But we're actually doing good. People really are catching on. So if you want your white pill, I would say start reading comment sections, and you will be shocked and amazed and pleased that there are people who are genuinely on our side. Like, we are on their side, they are on our side. We get it. A lot of us get it. And even think about some of the people in this here chat. No one in all of California, outside of a number of people that I can count on two hands, outside of less than 10 people, no one in California knows that I'm woke, which means that I would say, Julius Ebola, check out Forward Observer. I'm a great big fan of Forward Observer. Outside of two hands, nobody in California knows that I'm woke. Think about that for a minute. Think about if you were to just imagine for a moment that you went outside into Los Angeles and you saw me and you thought that I was a normie. And I do, by the way, dress like a normie. I actually go to great lengths to be as uninteresting as possible. I gray man when I go outside in speech, conduct, and dress. No one knows. 0 people know. Now think about how there are other people. I am not unique. I am not unique. Imagine how many people are woke, wandering around the streets, not telling a soul. We are not alone. There are others. Seek the helpers. Okay, now. I am tired and I am going to get ready to go to bed. Alright, I didn't do any case streaming, but we will pretend for just a moment that we did. And I will say that I am a great big fan of firearms ownership as well as safety and handling. I do believe in your God-given right to keep and bear arms. If you cannot defend yourself, then you are simply a victim in waiting, and that is not good. Democrats want us defenseless, and I vehemently disagree with that. Now, if you are going to exercise your God-given right to keep and bear arms, I do think that it's a great idea to have in mind the 4 rules of firearms safety. Rule number 1, always treat every firearm like it is loaded. Rule number 2, never cover or sweep anything that you are not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, your finger stays off of the trigger until your sights are on target. And the 4th and final rule is be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Safety first. And now I am going to, even though I was going to stop stream earlier, but now I just got yammering on about a bunch of bullcrap. How ridiculous. Yeah, good night, guys. Thank you everybody for popping by. And yeah, West Coast Wednesday, I'm going to drop links to people on Wednesday night, so check your inboxes, check your Twitter, and there will be a couple of links to those who are on the West Coast. No offense to people who aren't on the West Coast, but just that, West Coast Wednesday, we have to abide by alliteration here. It's very important. So there you go. And to everybody, have a good night, and remember to brush and floss. And there you go. I'll see you guys in the chats. Cheers.